I'm the chairman of Wakili Community Forum, the name that you saw popping under that poster. What's Wakili Community Forum? Wakili Community Forum is a forum of students that had the same mind, came together and formed this CBO, and it was registered. We registered it when we were in 1.2, that early. Now, there are some achievements that we are yet to make. That's why you are all here. This is one of the milestones that you are undertaking in the project. Remember, Wakili Community Forum is for the student, by the student. It is an initiative started by 7 members, and it is here to stay. Okay, so we plan to address various issues affecting communities, and we are starting with communities around this group. So platforms like this, feel free to join, and next week we'll be going to prisons. So make sure you are a participant in every activity that we undertake. I've told you it is a sponsored organization.
Oliver is our spokesperson. Perhaps he may have one or two to say.
I cannot say much because Victor, my chairman, has spoken. I just want to introduce the members of Wakili Community Forum so that you know you meet them, you greet them, and they can introduce you to the group and you can be added. Member number 1 is me, the spokesperson. Victor Ngaruya, chairperson. Organizing secretary in there. The secretary is Ibrahim Orwa. Chebet is the treasurer. Lydia Gashiri is a member. Peter Ikua also, and our faculty Evans is there. Mukasa is our patron. We are the one who organized this event. We have sponsored it fully. And we thank you for coming here.
So basically, Martin Charo versus Republic. It's a very interesting case, and I was so glad when it popped up on my phone screen, and I knew this is it. This is the case that we're going to be dissecting today. So I presume most of us here who are law students have gone through the case. That is expected of you. But amongst us, there are also friends of Wakili Community Forum and my personal friends who we invited, and friends, your friends too. So karibuni sana and law students, karibuni to our faculty. We hope you'll enjoy today's discussion. So basically, Martin Charo versus Republic. It is a locus classica case in criminal law. It deals with sexual offenses, and these are the facts. So the title question, or the paramount question in this discussion today is, do actions of a child below 18 behaving like an adult and willingly engaging in sex amount to defilement? We are going to look at the substantive issues. We are going to look at the law and what it has to say about defilement, about rape. So it's going to be a very great learning experience for all of us, and I believe you're all going to enjoy it. So to the facts. Martin Charo, Mr. Charo was 24 years old, and he had sexual intercourse with a girl, 14. So by sexual intercourse, basically the law defines it as penetration, right? So she was 14 years old and a class 6 pupil. On 2nd January 2012, I hope I'm audible enough. So on 2nd January 2012, the girl was with her other siblings and they went to the beach. She later dodged her siblings and went to the appellant's house. The appellant here, okay, for those of us who cannot understand legal jargons, so the case started at the trial court. The trial court is the first court. A decision was made. The appellant, who is Martin Charo, was not happy about the decision. He therefore decided to appeal. So Martin Charo alichukuliwa koti, mashtaka yake akasikizwa, akafungwa jela. Hakuridhika, akaamua kuapili. So the appellant told them that she was not, So after lodging her siblings and going to the appellant's house, she stayed there for a while. After a while, her brother went there and they asked for her to leave. The appellant told them that she was not there. They later escaped and went to the appellant's parents' house. So this is the girl, and Martin Charo escaped and went to Martin Charo's parents' home and stayed there for 3 days with the appellant, who's Martin Charo, and the parent. And it is stated in the case that they used to have sex. After 3 days, she went back home Then she told her father where she had been. After that, she was taken to the police and later taken to hospital. She had known that the appellant, she says she had known the appellant for about 3 years, and he does not live very far from home. The appellant is Martin Charo, remember? So it is her evidence that she had gone to see Martin Charo, have sex, and go back home. Remember, this is what she's saying. She had gone to Martin Charo's place, have sex, and go back home. Remember, she's 14 years old. So meaning she's a minor. Upon investigation by prosecution witness 5, who's a police officer, his name is James Mwai, it was revealed that the girl had disappeared from home from 25th December 2011 until 2nd January 2012, and she was 14 years old. Prosecution witness number 6, who's a doctor, called Dr. Hashim. Now this is where another issue, a legal issue, comes in. Dr. Hashim was not the one who conducted the, what do we call it in medicine, clinical test or something of the sort. But Dr. Hashim produced a P3 form that had been filed by his colleague, Dr. Rashida, who now conducted the test. So huyu anakuja na, so unajua kwa evidence second years, tunaambiwa nini? Kuna stuff na hearsay. Like huwezi kuja koti useme, nani aliniambia ati nani alipiga nani? Like if you're the doctor, the appellant was arrested on 4th January 2012 at Taukungu. This is Martin Charo was arrested. So after the appeal, the main issue that Justice Chitembwe in the Court of Appeal, or is it the High Court? The High Court made for determination was whether the appellant defiled the girl. This was the main issue for determination at the appeal. So the trial court held that the girl was a minor and her genitalia was penetrated by the appellant. This led to the conviction of the appellant, that is before he appealed. So the issue before the court here in the appealed case is whether the appellant, who's Martin Charo, actually defiled the girl. So this is, I want to quote a few words by some statements by Justice Chitembwe at the appeal. He said, this struck my eye and I had to mention this. She was behaving like a full grown-up woman who was already engaging and enjoying sex with men. This is something that the judge said. The second thing which I found striking and highlighted here was, however, where a child behaves like an adult and willingly sneaks into men's houses for purposes of having sex, the court ought to treat such a child as a grown-up who knows what she's doing. So that is the background of today's case. And I'd like to introduce the panelists. I will start from my farthest left. Machogu will just stand up, say his name, then sit down. And the class.
Hi, all of you. How are you doing? Good. So, I'm Machogu, two students. I'm excited that the Wakili Community Forum decided to organize these games to bring us together so that we can discuss this issue. As you all know, the trade, sorry to them for talking a lot, I don't have to say my name, but just have to allow me to say this. The trademark for lawyers is word of mouth. Yeah. So maybe some of us know that we cannot articulate very correctly, but events like these may help us have that know how to articulate, how to speak out our points. So I'm really grateful for the Wakili Community Forum. I hope this one will go well, and yeah, thank you.
Panelists, I hope that we will engage in this discussion and it will help us benefit a lot. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, 2.2 student panelists.
I am Ibrahim Orwa, an upcoming mediator, Secretary of Wakili Community Forum, and I'm happy to be here.
Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne Omodi, a panelist.
Thank you very much, our panelists. So we decided that you're going to be having questions that are going to direct our discussions. So the first question, which is all about this issue, is defilement. What is it? How can we define defilement? Is it in the Sexual Offences Act? How is it defined in the Act? And what is the penalty for defilement? So I'll first throw this question to our panelists. They're going to define defilement according to the Sexual Offences Act and give its punishment as follows in Kenya. I'd like to start with Amos. You're going to answer this question.
As I said, I'm not Mutwa. So defining it according I'm able to Mutwa, and I define defilement as part of Section 8 of Sexual Offences Act Sexual Offences or Act 206. Definement, subsection 1 states that a person who commits an act which causes penetration with a child is guilty of an offense termed as defilement. So from this we can conclude that defilement is the penetration act with a child. And according to Section 8, Act number 8 of 201, a child is a person who has not attained an age of 18 years. So we can say that defilement is penetration with a minor, who into bracket a person under the age of 18 years. So the second part.
The punishment for defilement.
Okay, the punishment on defilement is divided according to years. For example, I answer one, then the rest will answer the other. A person who commits an offense of defilement with a child between the age of 12 to 14 is liable upon conviction to imprison for a term of not less than 20 years. That's just one punishment.
So I'd like to invite other members of the panel to add on the punishment and anything else you have to say.
Yeah, so before I get to the actual punishment, allow me just to mention the Children's Act, number 8 of 2001, section 15, which majorly encapsulates whatever they are saying on the protection of children against defilement. It is important to mention that, and also the Children's Act comes into play on this issue. So he has mentioned about the age of 12 to 14 years. Allow me to mention on the age of below the 11 years. Below 11 years, it is assumed that you have defiled a child, because below the age of 11 years, this is still a child. According also to Article 260 of the Constitution, a child is defined as read together with the Children's Act. A child is defined as a person who has not attained the age of 18 years. So below 11 years, the punishment is life imprisonment. That is below the age of 11 years. So Oliver will come in the other parts, together the other parts. Thank you.
So I believe I start with the punishment for a person who commits the act of defilement with a child of more than 16 to 18 years. I think the person is the section 8.3 of the Sexual Offences Act says that a person who commits an offense of defilement with a child between the age of it is section 8.4. A person who commits an offense of defilement with a child between the age of 16 and 18 years is liable upon conviction to imprisonment of a term of not less than 15 years.
Thank you. Any other panelists?
From what my friend Amos started about defilement, I'd like to define defilement according to Sexual Offences Act number 3 of 2006, section 8. Defilement is an act which causes penetration or indecent acts committed within a view of family member, child, or person with mental disability. And so, again, I'm adding the punishment for defilement for between the age of 12 and 15 years. That's section 8, subsection 3. A person who commits an offense of defilement with a child within the age of 12 and 15 years is liable upon conviction to imprisonment of a term of not less than 20 years.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to ask the panelists, what's your opinion after hearing about defilement and its penalty? Was anything to say about it? Unafeel kama sheria inafaa kubadilishwa? Mbona wanasema life imprisonment? Kwani kukula msichana wa 11 years ni issue? Anything you have to say about it?
Thank you. My name is Albert. I have a question for the start. The definition of the word defilement.
Yes, thank you.
I think it is not well defined according to me. Because I'm thinking of a situation as the act provided specifically whether defilement is the act of penetration from a female to a male or the other way around. Because you can as well have a male minor being defiled by an adult woman. So what has the act said about that?
Thank you very much for bringing that up. But I'd also like to bring to your attention the case of Judith Asoya Wandera versus Republic. Now this is a case where a minor was defiled by a woman who's 30-something years old and the minor was 16 years old. So the law encapsulates that, but I'd like our panelists to answer his question. Oliver, I saw your hand is up.
I also wanted to answer it using case law. The case of Mercy Chelangat versus the Republic, where the appellant Mercy Chelangat was charged with conviction of an offense of defilement contrary to section 8(1), where she intentionally and unlawfully caused the penis of KK, a boy of 16 years, to penetrate her vagina.
So I want you to confirm with us if the definition of defilement according to the act, is it sufficient?
Okay, Amos, can we
Okay, Albert, I'd like us to read subsection 1 of section 8. Inasema hivi, a person who commits an act which causes penetration, it is not just the act of penetration, but which causes penetration. So it can be both ways.
I'd also like to bring to light the case of Kibale versus Uganda. In this case, it was stated that the victim, the person who has been defiled, meaning it can either be a man or a woman, has to be below the age of 18 to be termed as defilement. Sasa kuna msi hapa anajiuliza, defilement, rape, tofauti ni gani? Nikirape huyu utasema ni defilement, nikitafungwa jela ya rape, nitafungwa jela ya defilement ama nini? So let us hear the difference between rape and defilement. Our panelist Ibra has so much to say about it.
Once again, I'm Ibra Muten, for those who don't know me. I'm in 2.2. So, we have rape and defilement. We have added the definition of defilement. But now, in rape, there is no consent. While in defilement, there can be or there cannot exist consent. Okay, I can see, I see.
To disagree. This is going to be lively. Amos, you don't talk so much.
You guys misreading the punishment. There cannot be defilement and there is consent.
Okay.
So,
let me finish.
The word consent.
Yeah, let me finish. Do you know why? Actually, I was basing my argument on the law. If you read section 43, subsection 4, it says of the Sexual Offences Act. If you read section 43(4), it says the circumstances in which a person is incapable in law appreciating the nature of an act referred to in subsection 1 include circumstances where such a person is at the time of the commission asleep, unconscious, and F, a child. In our case, for instance, you see, prosecution witness 1 consented to having sex with Martin Charo, right? But which case was taken to the court? Was it a case of defilement or rape? It was a case of defilement. There is a test for measuring the case of there's a test for measuring defilement. You know, I come backed up with also things to back up my argument. Test to back up what you term as defilement. First of all, it is intentional, or it is a grooming for gifts, or it is it has happened out of intoxication, or it has happened out of a figure of authority. Let's say, for example, I'm in a position to influence you to make this decision. So there are instances where people have given their consent, but it has still been defined as defilement. For example, in this case, we have this case of R versus, just a minute. It is R versus, just a minute. It is R versus Robinson. In R versus Robinson, also in R versus Marlon, and also in R versus Bray. You see, in R versus Robinson, defilement occurred. Let me tell you how. This woman, the husband, had told his friends that my wife, she likes the group thingy, you know it, right? So he had told his friends this, but remember, the wife, factually, when this case was taken to the court, factually, the wife does not like this whatever, this fetish he was describing. Now that was called defilement. That case is when the husband was told by the wife, do not come inside me. And the husband still went ahead and come. You see, there is consent, right? But the definition is not what matters. Now I think I want to say, but now for this opportunity, my work was just to give an idea of rape and defilement. I'll come back later. I know she has some questions for me.
I'd like to hear from the other panelists. Alafu, a question came into my mind. Sasa mimi, for example, I'm walking down the streets of Coco hapo. Nikugiza Sunday, 11 p.m. Then I'm such a kutumia example yangu. You can use that example. Let's say Pamela. So Pamela is walking by the streets. Then she's grabbed by two masculine men. And then she obviously knows this is going to be rape, sindio? And I say, wacha tu mimi comply. Will that be rape? If she goes to report it, will it be defilement? Pamela is 17 years old. So we'll start with, I want all the panelists to say something about it. So we'll start with Yvonne. You can answer my question or give your opinion on rape or define it.
I'll start by giving the difference between rape and defilement, according to me. I think there's another difference. Defilement, rape cannot be between, defilement cannot be between adults, right? We can say adults, like you rape someone and then you go and report a case that it's a defilement. So I think defilement is only to children, and rape can be both to children and adults. Then a question someone else can answer.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Amos.
Before I answer that question, before I answer that question, I'd like to answer what this guy said. I don't know which act he's reading. Because according to, I'm citing whatever he said. He said section 43.4. And 43.4, let me first read 43.1. It states, an act is intentional and unlawful if it is committed 1A in any coercive circumstance. That answers your question. It was Pamela, I guess.
Pamela.
Means two guys. She consents, but under coercive circumstances. So that amounts to rape if she has attained the age of 18 years.
If she hasn't,
that is defilement.
okay.
Part B, under false pretense or by fraudulent means. Part C, in respect, I want us to underline this, in respect of a person who is incapable of appreciating the nature of an act which causes the offense. And now I want us to go to subsection 4. The circumstances in which a person is incapable in law of appreciating the nature of the act as referred to in subsection 1. Example is a person who is asleep, unconscious, and the last three, it's a child. So it is evident that a child is unable or is incapable of appreciating the nature of the act.
Which act?
That's unlawful act, according to what he used as a
Everyone taka kupinga, go to scare them, you go to
First of all, he has really classified the difference between rape and defilement. And it's totally wrong because in section 3 of the Sexual Offences Act, it says a person commits the offense termed rape if 1. He or she intentionally and unlawfully commits an act which causes penetration with his or her genitalia. There is nowhere written here it is committed to persons who are age 18. And now let me make a difference. The difference here is talking about consent. It's telling us that anything which happens to a child who is below the age of 18 should be termed as defilement. And anything which happens to anyone above the age of 18 is rape. Let me tell you, we have something called the capacity to consent. Your capacity as a sober person to consent to sex. You know, the law says that a child is anyone below the age of 18 years, right? Yeah. We have countries like Belgium, Spain, which have legalized the consensual age of sex at 13 years. Now, let us look at this instance. A child is defined by law as anyone below the age of 18. And I want to define what the definition of a child is according to what changing prospective application of law and the dynamism of the world changes. Scientific research, www.sciencedirect.com, said that the average maturity of a minor to make informed consent is 11.2 years. I'm not supporting that having sex with children above 14 years is a crime, but I'm just telling you that age should not be used as a factor to measure consent.
Let's go to Evans.
I think I will just respond to the question which you asked, not really too much. Otherwise, depending on the circumstances which were there in the case, it depends. For example, there is what we call duress and there is what we call duress and there is what we call coercion. There is what we call duress and there is what we call undue influence. You find that in duress there are two types of duress. There is the economic duress and there is the duress to the person. So we have to realize that if at all that person was, or that minor was under duress or a threat, then you have to realize that this one was actually coercion and it's actually encapsulated. I don't want to go into the legal balance, but because it has been expounded by Amos, it is well encapsulated in the Sexual Offences Act, number 3 of 2006. So, undue influence. What is undue influence? Undue influence is actually a form of duress. It's just that it is lesser than duress. Undue influence in this course will also be sufficient in that case, whatever she's citing, as illustrated. You see, in that case, we may term it, depending on the circumstances, as either duress or undue influence, because she has not given the actual facts of the case. But it is variant according to those two circumstances. It may depend on how the actual coercion was conducted. If at all she consented, but the circumstances which were regarded in that case would have made her consent anyway. We may term it as either duress or undue influence, subjective to whatever she was saying, the facts of the case, it is subject to her. So I think I'll conclude on that. They continue their battle, but let me take a seat.
Thank you, Oliver. Yes.
As a young lawyer, you must admit that you must say the law is very clear. I want to start by saying the law is very clear. Section 3(1)(b) of the Sexual Offences Act says that B, the person does not consent to the penetration. C says the consent is obtained by force, by means of threats or intimidation of any kind. I think I have answered your question very well. The law is very clear.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So, I'm just going to add to try and define what rape is according to the Sexual Offences Act, as my colleagues have said. So section 3(1) says that a person commits the offense termed as rape if A, he or she intentionally unlawfully commits the act which causes penetration with his or her genital organs. B, the person does not consent to penetration. Or C, the consent is obtained by force, by means of threat or intimidation of any kind. So I think the difference comes in between rape and defilement is that part of consent. According to the Sexual Offences Act, still in Section 8, Section 8(1), it says that defilement, or a person who commits an act which causes penetration with a child is guilty of defilement. And another definition also says that it doesn't matter whether the person has given consent or not. Yes. So I think the difference between defilement and rape comes in where in that part of consent.
Thank you very much, guys. I'd like us to keep what you have said in mind and bring it up. Consent is the next question. So keep it in mind. Kuna mahali tunataka kuhita hapo, si ndio? Karibu sana Lea.
Okay. I'll first start by saying ignorance is not a defense, never has it been, never will it be. According to what Oliver said, the law is very clear. Like, you should know the law. It doesn't matter whether you, what you're doing, you did it because you didn't know the law. Like,